Welcome to this morning's, little hot. Welcome to this morning's seminar. I'm Mike Dubbs. I am with Conveyor Solutions and was on the planning team for this week's conference. I'd like to welcome you. And I'd like to introduce our featured speakers this morning. Michael Woland is the managing principal of Alpine Supply Solutions. I've had the privilege of working with Michael on several projects, and he has a proven track record of helping companies improve their overall operations. His expertise includes facility analysis and supply chain systems. I think you'll find Michael to be very energetic with a reputation for nurturing strong business relationships. He leverages his 25 years of supply chain expertise, helping dozens of Fortune 500 companies with their supply chain strategies. This, combined with his top leadership positions with global software companies and private equity firms, allows Michael to assist with due diligence, acquisition, roll-ups, divestitures for both on-premise, hybrid, and cloud solutions. Our second panelist this morning is Matt Warner. Matt is the Chief Operating Officer of Monat Global. Matt is a driven executive with 30-plus years of MLM experience, making a difference through leadership, involved with company growth from $250 million to $1 billion in annual sales. His key contributions have included leading a multi-million-dollar customer service initiative by implementing SAP in the United States, providing leadership to a growing call center of 150 to 200 customer support agents, offering key services to customers around the world in many foreign languages. Please welcome me in welcoming Matt and Michael.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How's it feel to be at work?
Great.
W-E-R-C, not W-O-R-K. But it feels great to be back. How many people first time at a work conference? Wow, quite a few. So normally we see about 800 to 1,000 practitioners come in and share their stories and stuff like that. So this is the first event since the pandemic, so really excited that we do have a lot of people here, and already almost all the sessions I've been in have been like aha moments, right? Like this variable, being able to literally have labor with the diverse work group, being able to pick out their times that they want to work, the optricity, right? Being able to understand how to slot, and talking about some of the put-away algorithms that they're working on, which was really cool. The Economist, that was really fun. I mean, little buzzkill, but it was a good way to really think about what's going on in the world, right? So I love these sessions. I am a past work president. So somebody asked me, and I was like, man, I actually was 10 years. So I was, like Mike, I started on the conference committee. I did that for 2 years. I did the peer-to-peer sessions, and then I got asked to be on the board. And then while I was on the board, I got asked to be secretary, vice president, president, and then past president. So I think I finished up in 2017, 2018. But the work experience for me has been a wonderful, wonderful personal and professional relationship builder. So we were talking last night about the people that were on the board with me and the relationships that I've been able to nurture that have lasted my career. So for those of you that are not familiar with work, I highly recommend. You probably are now all members of work because I think you had an option to become a member when you joined this conference, but take advantage of it. There's local regional events, educational sessions, and those types of things. So speaking of educational sessions, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So tell them what you're going to say it, and then tell them what you told them. So we're going to do that this morning. Sound good?
Yep.
Do I gotcha?
Yeah.
All right. So the agenda is we're going to go through who is Monat Global. Does anybody know who Monat is? A couple people. That's great. So I had no idea, and I was wearing a Monat hat, and this lady went like, oh my God, we had just started our relationship, and she's like, oh, I use this product, and you use this black shampoo for men, and this, that. I mean, she knew the product line in and out, so they are passionate about their product line. So we'll hear a little bit about Monat Global. And then what would be great is to understand what challenges they faced and then what we did to actually address those challenges. We took an approach. Does anybody know what a strategic master plan is besides Norm? Anybody? So we're going to look at where you're at and where you're going 3 to 5 years. And if you change nothing, what's your labor cost and burn versus if I make strategic investments at the right time. So we'll talk about how we did the strategic master plan. We did a storage type analysis and layout. We leveraged the Optricity's OptiSlot solution to do the storage type analysis and the layout. And then Matt was like, Michael, I own this thing called EWM. Can I use it in my building? Absolutely. So we actually looked at how to leverage the SAP EWM. We did the design, configure, go live. And then in the room with us, we have a couple people from Conveyor Solutions. Well, you can't hear me? A recording. How about that? So Conveyor Solutions took our conceptual design, converted it to an engineering, and then secured the bids from all the different equipment manufacturers and brought it to life. So we'll talk about that part of it. And then we are going to have Matt come back and talk about the results. And more importantly, hey, now that we solved this problem and we've got these results, what's next on the horizon? So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Matt Warner.
Thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to be here with you. This is my first work convention conference as well. Sounds like, or look like the majority of us are first-timers. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm grateful to be able to tell a little bit of our story over the last couple of years with what took place at Monat with growth. So first of all, who are we? It was said that I worked with MLMs for the last 30 years. What that means, that's just a channel. So we're actually in the health and beauty industry. Our primary products I'll introduce here in just a minute. But what we do is we sell directly to the consumer through what we call brand ambassadors. So it is individuals who sign up directly with the company to represent our brand. And the only way you can buy our products is through one of these market partners, we call them, or associate volunteers that get paid off commission to represent our products. They then sign up customers that deal directly with us through a website. So essentially we do e-commerce business with hundreds of thousands of people around the United States. We currently operate in 8 markets. So we're in the United States, we're in Canada, recently opened up Australia, and then we're in 5 countries in Europe. So we do business in the UK, Ireland, Poland, Lithuania, and Spain. So those are our 8 markets we do business in. We currently today have about 1 million combined market partners and customers in those 8 markets. We foresee ourselves growing to be in probably 15 to 20 markets between now and the next 5 to 7 years. So we will aggressively open up our business opportunity and our products to other countries, predominantly starting in Asia sometime next year. So this is our mission statement. Monat actually comes from 2 words, modern nature. That's how we came up with Monat. So we're into, obviously, all natural ingredients for hair care, skin care, and wellness products. So here is a snapshot of some of our high-end hair care products. So you'll have the shampoos, the conditioners, styling products, etc. This represents about 70% of our revenue. Recently, about 2 years ago, we came out and introduced a skincare line, which represents about 20% of our revenue today. And then about a year or so ago, we introduced a wellness line that represents about 10% of our total combined global revenues. So going back in time, I joined Monat Global in January of 2018, and I've been there ever since. When I got there in 2018, we were running inventory management on a product called SAP Business One. Based on our projections and where we were planning to go growth-wise, We elected to go the upgrade path and move from SAP Business One to the full-blown SAP for HANA. And so we implemented that in a hurried pace in November of 2018. We felt that that was going to be our ERP backbone, as we knew we were going to expand into 15, 20 markets in the coming years. We wanted to make sure we had a stable platform, so we did that. Then roll forward, towards the end of 2019, we started to, through our regular business planning process from the C-suite, we began to look at kind of what the 5-year projections would be for our company. And we came up with some conservative numbers that we looked at, and we knew that based on our current footprint at the time, we'd have to make some changes, right? We wouldn't quite have enough space in our warehouse, those types of things. So we started to engage Alpine, Michael and his company, and Conveyor Solutions as well, to begin to do some planning, the strategic map, if you will, that Michael mentioned, because we needed to know where we need to be in 4 or 5 years, so we needed to know what we needed to do. So we engaged them and started to put together the plan. Then early 2020, we all knew COVID took place, so the projections that we had given them were quite conservative. So they immediately started to change, where we were now looking at 2%, 200% growth in 2020. So we threw a curveball to our partners here, and they began to scramble and began to readjust their planning and so forth. So at the time in 2020, we were in a corporate facility distribution center of about 85,000 square feet. That included some offices, for staff, and about 70,000 square feet for the warehouse. And from that warehouse, we would resupply from a B2B standpoint all of our international countries. So we'd resupply our international warehouses, and then in each of those international warehouses, they would do the B2C shipments to each customer. So at that time, 70,000 square feet, we were fine at that time, but with the projections, we need to grow. So then comes along COVID, increased growth far greater than any of us had planned, so we began to scramble. We finish up the strategic map that told us that we were going to need a lot more space. The 70,000 would not do it. We found out that our facility would be out of space in Q2 of that same year, so we had to go and scramble and find space. We also had a lot of manual processes. We had very good, I'd call it, flow of inventory into the building and out, both to international and domestic, but we used very little technology other than the SAP, the inventory management of SAP. But other than that, we were very manual. So obviously we're using a lot of labor. We were manually building boxes to ship our customer orders in, and our customer orders profiles typically about a $100 order, and would typically have 3 to 4 items in it, a shampoo, a conditioner, a styling. So 3 to 4 average items to an order. So pretty small boxes. Then we would pack out those orders, and we would also have to do quite a bit of assembly. So we would receive from our manufacturers finished goods or semi-finished goods, and then we would, I call it, countrify them for Poland or Australia or whatever it might need to be based on their regulations. We'd have to add a secondary carton or something to that finished good. So we do a lot of assembly. So these were some of our big challenges when we jumped into this project, and then we had to begin to scramble. Now, I'm going to turn the time over to Michael again, who is intimately involved with our project, with his partnership team, his consultants, to kind of give you some details of the detailed approach we took to be able to discover in greater detail how we're going to solve this problem. So, Michael.
I love the way that Matt said, we gave him a present. Every 2 weeks, we got a present from Monat through this project. So, as I said, right, so it was the Monday after the Super Bowl in 2019. We flew in to Miami in February, and we sat down and we said, where are we going and where are we headed, right? And at that time, we said, hey, we probably need to do a strategic master plan. We need to look at your 4 assets: space, equipment, labor, and control. Where you're at today with SKU growth, volume growth, what's that going to do to your labor? What's going to do to your space? And what's that look like? So we call that the baseline. If I do nothing and I continue to grow over the next 5 to 7 years, what's it going to cost me to do exactly what I do today? Right? Number one. The other part of this is we establish metrics. What are you receiving and doing putaways? How many lines per hour are you picking? How many actual orders are you packing? And what are you shipping? So now we have a baseline. Here's a day's worth of labor, and we know exactly what your metrics are. So we actually have a foundation. We figured it out, and then Matt said, okay, so let's start with just let's go with like simple, like 20, 30% growth. Okay, no problem. So we did. So we did all the math, and he comes back and goes, hey, can we take it from like maybe 50% in 2020 to like 75%? Sure, Matt. So we went and redid the numbers. He's like, just joking. I meant not 75%. How about 150%? Okay, no problem, Matt. We redid. Can we go 200%? Matt, you want to grow 200% in 1 year? Yep. And then 50%, and then 40%, and then 30%. No problem. Good news is the model was already built, so we just had to change it, but it did take some manipulation. So the good news is that business was growing, and as Matt said, right, fulfillment is really their domestic shipments, right? Each pick, parcel, shipment to an end customer. The assembly is building all these kits for their independent sales reps. And then the last part is the international, which is easy, full pallet and case pick. So he's kind of got 3 operations. He's almost like a 3PL, right? Case and pallet, assembly, value-added services, and then the each pick. So each of these have a different process and require different space and labor and control for that within one building. Now, we said, okay, so here's where you're at today. You've got, call it 94,000 square feet at an 85% utilization, right? You can probably fit 8,065 pallet positions. Why 85% utilization? I think we all know that the minute your facility gets to 75% utilization, your quality goes down, your safety goes down, your productivity goes down, and damages go up. So we always want to try and, around 75, 80% utilization. You start getting over that, you get into trouble. So that's 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Now, if we're wrong, this goes from a 5-year plan to a 7 or an 8-year plan. Or if we grow faster, it becomes a 3-year plan. But it's nice that you know what your roadmap is, you know where your tipping points are, where you need to make and secure the capital investment for your plan. Now, I'm a visionary guy, and I like pictures. So on the left-hand side, we've got, kind of the space allocated based on each of the process areas. We got our inbound and outbound staging. So as I bring an international container in, I build the pallets. How many pallets do I need? How do I want to store that today? And then based on the growth, what does it look like in year 2024? So here's my 2019 staging. Here's my 2020 staging. And oh, by the way, the left-hand side is all the reserve, and everything on the far right-hand side is the each pick. And please note the way that this layout is, there should be a laser pointer on here, right? I don't know where it's at. But notice this here is the way they pick it today. Case flow, and then a short line, do the packing, and then the manifesting, because we're going to come back to that in a second. So as we continue to build this slide out, here's my 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Hey, Matt, your building's too small.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Totally got it. Great. So key findings. This is February of 2019. You're running out of space in Q2 of 2020. If nothing changes, you're going to run out of space in 2020. So what do? We start looking for an outside storage for our bulk, right? We're going to bring all the bulk. Well, no, when we started was February of 19. So by June or July, we knew that in 6 months we were going to be out of space, right? So the bulk storage, we were out of space. The assembly area, because now all these independent agents, they got to start building more kits, this and that, it's too small. And then we knew that the fulfillment area to hit, I think at that time we were maybe doing 15,000, 20,000 orders a day. And we want to go to 60,000 orders a day. 60,000. We're talking about 42 cartons a minute. We're talking about high volume through, right? When you start talking about designing high volume e-commerce facilities, like we are at the cutting edge of like insanity and like able to do it. So it's there. On the equipment side, all right, so if you guys saw that, it's very narrow aisle, which means that you have to use either a swing mass truck or a turret truck. And DC Velocity is going to come out with their metrics later today, and they're probably going to tell you can get about 18 to 22 pallets per hour in a very narrow aisle. Where, if you go with a 9.5 or a 10-foot aisle, you can probably get between 45 and 50 pallets per hour. So I can double my throughput, but I need that double wide. So when we looked at it, Matt, you had like 150 pallets of the same item. You don't store that in single deep selective rack. You do high density storage. So we looked at different types of storage. We looked at the assembly area. We actually came up with 2 or 3 different automations, put to cleat, put to light, like different ways to do their kits. And then in addition to that, the Durrell fulfillment is not ideal. Right now, today, when we would walk in that facility, boxes would be 6 or 7 high. There was just not enough accumulation. The pickers could pick faster than the packers could pack and the manifestors could manifest, and it would just back up. And I mean, the first day I was there, Matt, we got to fix that. Like, you don't have enough accumulation. He's like, what do you mean? We went through it. He's like, okay, I get it. Labor, way too much manual labor. They have huge opportunity for automation to track, manage, plan all their resources. And from a systems perspective, they own SAP EWM. They just never turned it on. So let's figure out a way that we can get real-time inventory, managing the directed put away, managing directed replenishment, and have their facility underway. So this was the key finding. So we came up with about 5 or 6 alternatives. And alternative 4 is the one we came up with. It had an ROI in 20 months. It required us to install EWM in Durrell and to offload the volume in Durrell, which is Miami, Florida. We're going to open a second facility in Dallas. Because you know what? Shipping from Miami, Florida to Portland, Oregon, and Seattle makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And on the flip side, we had another client that was in Portland, Oregon, shipping all the way to Miami. I was like, how do I get 2 on the opposite ends of the spectrum? So we got to find a central point. So we said, great. So we figured out we're going to install EWM in Durrell, and we're going to go build this Dallas facility. In the Dallas facility, we're going to have 3 to 4 weeks of inventory and use it just as a forward pick location for our domestic shipments. Keep all the international still in Miami. We had limited capital to spend, so hey, how can we do this? Well, I think we talked about it, right? Matt would pick into a tote, the tote would go to a pack station, it would pack and go manifest out. EWM has the ability to do cartonization. Let's pick directly right into the outbound carton and get rid of 42 packers, like right out of the gate, quick ROI. Inbound receiving and put away, yes, that is 354% improvement. Why? Because we're getting rid of the very narrow aisle, we're getting rid of the P&D station. We're literally gonna take it out of the truck and put it directly away into either a high-density storage or something along those lines. Now, in the fulfillment, they were doing pretty good. 81 lines per hour. They were picking out a case flow. Now, we said, hey, we could add voice to that, get about 90, 95. And we said with pick to light, we get about 120. We think we're going to get more, but, you know, we want to under-promise and over-deliver. So we're going to go and build our business case on 120 lines per hour for Durrell and for Dallas. And then production area, we're going to get a 65 to 71%, just doing some, literally just the top 10 items. If we automate that kitting process, we're going to see a huge improvement. So again, in Matt fashion, every week, Michael, I got a present for you. Michael, I got a present for you. Hey, Michael, there's a movie, right? We're not going to Dallas. The owners have purchased a brand new corporate headquarters right here in Durrell. I said, Matt, how big's the building? Right here in Durrell, we got a brand new building. Matt, how big's the building? It's not big enough. We're gonna need a bigger boat. So Monat secures a brand new headquarters. Business is phenomenal, which means that their corporate office is out of space, right? And they wanna get all their people together and the customer success managers and inventory planners and put them all under one roof, and it's so fragmented. So they get this new beautiful headquarters. And there is a little warehouse on the outside of it. And Luis Sr. goes, wait. You have 80,000 square feet. I just got you 160. I've doubled it, and you're telling me it's too small? It just didn't comprehend for him. I just got you twice the amount of space. We're like, yeah, it's too small. So needless to say, business had been good. Labor planning. So we had come in and we did some short-term and long-term labor planning to help with their temp agency and staffing on a daily basis. And then the Dallas site, we're going to have to kick that down the road because we got to figure out how we're going to lay out this Durrell facility. And, oh, by the way, We use a contract manufacturer for our ingredients and fill in our jars, creams, and conditioners, but we source all the packaging material. So now, another present, Michael. We didn't have this on the numbers before, but now all the packaging is going to come here, and then we're going to ship it to our contract manufacturers, and then we're going to get the finished goods back. Didn't have that in the plan. Another present from Matt. So we're really out of space now, all right? So short-term fix. So is, I'm trying to see. I talked to him last night. I don't see him in here. We were talking last night to some people at the VIP reception about a short-term fix. So we got the order profile, we got the details, we figured out the number of cartons and cube and totes and this and that, and we said, here's the deal, right? So this was now September of 19. We got to get you through the busy season. We said, hey, let's go figure out how to get more accumulation. So do you remember the original picture? It was just a straight line pack station manifesting. So it was coming out here, just going there, and they were taking it all out. So we just added accumulation to allow for the pickers to keep picking, and for the packers, we had to double or triple the packers to keep up with the pickers. So we figured out what the right mix was, and this was a godsend. It got them through, and at that time, a big day was what, 27,000 orders? 30,000 orders during peak season. We were able to get them through just a very small, very low cost, non-powered conveyor. Actually, I think the main line was powered and then the rest was all skate wheel, but it got them through. So short-term fix. All right. In addition to adding the accumulation, we needed to get some of that volume on the West Coast to handle that. So secured a third-party logistics provider in Salt Lake that really focuses on the direct selling market. So we were able to offload some of that West Coast burden. We secured another facility in Durrell for the off-site bulk, and we accommodated the packaging storing requirements. And then here's the other one. In an effort to make sure that we're planning our labor appropriately, we developed standard operating procedures. There were so many temp agencies and so many temps on a daily basis that we really wanted to make sure we were getting the right value for our investment. And then for the international business, receiving pallets in and shipping pallets and cases out, we turned on SAP's EWM. Now, that was like, 2019. Here we are. We're at the end of 2019. We're starting 2020. Boom. COVID happens. Okay. So we're getting real. We got the new facility now. We need to do a storage type analysis and a conceptual layout. So again, we used the Optricity tool, performed the storage type analysis to identify the ideal size and quantity for pick location and the reserve, which helped us understand exactly, right, what we needed from bulk, inbound and outbound, what we wanted to do for assembly, all the packaging requirements. That was the big one. Is like, okay, now, right, I know how much we have of finished goods, but the packaging requirements, we installed the SOPs, installed EWM, and move to fulfillment. So once we get the facility design and layout, we'll be able to start working on that pick module. So the first part of it was, okay, here's the facility. So in Florida, there's not a lot of high density storage. So we went with 3 deep, 4 high drive-in rack. We went with 3 deep pushback rack, and it was just unheard of. So we're like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. You've got the right quantity on hand of each item. We're gonna maximize your space. And again, this building was too small. We went on record with the board and everybody, we're still gonna need our old building for the offsite storage of all the quote unquote high volumes and then all the packaging materials. But let's see how much we can fit in this building. For the record, this was not our layout. Our layout was completely different, but because they want to bring their independent sales people in, and there's gotta be a laser here. Oh, here. So this is the entry, right, for all the employees, and then right here is the corporate office entry. So what better way? You have people come in, get trained, come through here, walk by here, walk through here, and get to see, oh, look, it's picked the light, all the product is very nicely placed in case flow, and then they can walk back out and go to the lunch area. So we actually rotated the facility for tour purposes. I go, Matt, this doesn't make any sense from a productivity perspective. He's like, we're doing it. I'm okay. Customer's always right. So we chewed up a little bit of the layout, but I mean, in fairness, we got the picking up here. Now everybody's sitting there going, wow, that's a lot of pick lines. So they, on average, have about 175 active SKUs. 175 SKUs, 60,000 orders a day, 42 cartons a minute. We beat our head against the wall trying to figure out how to get that volume through. We have 10 pick lines mirrored. That is the only way we could get the volume through. based on the order profile, the volumes, and this and that. So you got yourself a high-density storage all down here. So you're bringing it in. You're replenishing the case pick and the value-added services. Value-added services done on the second level. And then you got a hazmat cage back here for the aerosols. And so this is the new layout. Pretty cool. So we took that layout and we gave it to our partners over at Conveyor Solutions and said, hey, here's conceptual, you engineer it. So they know the feet, the speeds, the feeds, 42 cartons a minute. Michael, how am I going to do this? You guys got to figure it out. Great, we got 10. And then the big one here is we actually installed all the conveyors, the dangerous 5 spirals, trash takeaway. Believe it or not, this is probably one of the areas that most facility designs don't think about. And as you're picking and you're in this vendorship carton and you're done with the carton, what are you going to do with it? Where's that trash going to go? So when we went to MJ Holding, when we went to school specialty, like this is something that needs to be thought of. So thinking about your trash takeaway, we did pick the light, we got the spirals, and I like this picture better. So right now today, Matt and his facility probably has 7 to 8 people. All they're doing is building boxes. 60,000 orders a day. 2 of their boxes represent 80% of their volume. So we actually went with Combi. So we've got the Combi actual automated carton erector. So the SAP EWM orders come down, cartonizes it, tells them what to do. Combi kicks it out, puts a print and a lie on it. The KVK, which is Conveyor Solutions WCS, says, okay, I know which lane I'm going, right? We do a round robin across all of these. And then what we called this here is this is the pallet position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they have promotional items. Hey, if you buy the hair, the shampoo, the conditioner, we're going to throw in an umbrella. We're going to throw in a beach blanket. We're going to throw in a makeup bag. Every week, marketing comes up with this promotion thing. So we got the promotional items up front, and then you got all of your items in there. And then you pick it directly into the outbound carton, and it goes all the way down here. We got an upward spiral where it goes upstairs. Upstairs, we got the inline print and apply. We got a QC station. We got void fill, and then everything comes and goes and gets outbound sorted. This is that value-added services area where we're building all the kits, but this is really the outbound void fill. So kind of a cool facility design. Can't forget the hazardous cage. And then, the big thing here is Matt's like, what? I don't get it. I am in Durrell. I've got this product today. I don't have a hazardous cage. I'm literally moving 3 minutes down the street, and now I need to have a hazard. Can I get a grandfather clause or something? I mean, it was like, Matt and I beat our head against the wall because in Durrell, you've got a county inspector, you've got a city inspector, then you've got the fire marshal, then you've got the county fire marshal, and they don't agree. In addition to that, not that I am publicizing this, but did anybody hear about that condo unit that went down in Florida? It was the exact same time that Matt is trying to get an occupancy permit. Do you think anybody in Durrell is worried about a warehouse? They just had a condominium fall down. 3 people get fired, and all they're doing is inspecting all the condominiums. We were bribing the mayor. No, I'm sorry. We were asking the mayor nicely to get an inspector. We just made a $9 million investment in this new facility and this and that, and we can't even get a permit to get moving. So it was COVID, the condominium falls down, we are sitting on this building, and we have a temporary occupancy, but I'm like, well, what we can do, Matt, before we start erecting racks. So you guys see this up here? This is like Raiders of the Lost Ark. So we started bringing product in, throwing it on the floor, and he's like, well, even if we have to double handle it, at least I got it and it's not sitting out there, right? So we had thought this thing was going to come up. But anyway, we got the building up and running. So it went from, a brand new building, redid the lighting, got the floors all situated, using it, and then we finally got the permit and got the rack up. But it was interesting. And again, we talked about the warehouse control system from KVK. So that's our approach. That's what we took. And then I'll let Matt talk about the results, lessons learned, and then we'll open it up for some questions. There you go, Matt.
As you can tell, Michael has handled the little curveballs we've thrown at him over the last couple of years. It is absolutely. But we've had some fun over the last couple of years. It definitely has been a roller coaster ride. It's amazing to see the transformation that's happened over the last 2 years from where we were at to where we're going. In fact, 35 minutes ago, we were supposed to start our SIT, or picking SIT, as we get ready to launch our US fulfillment pick lines.
The first order went all the way through.
Awesome. So we've set up SIT for the pick lines for the next 2 weeks, followed by another 2 weeks of testing of the pack out area, which is on the second floor of the mezzanine, and then the final 2 weeks to go through UAT. If all goes well, then we'll plan to go live here in June. So we're super excited to see that. On a typical day, like he said, we will do 15,000 orders. I think in that old configuration, I think the max would get out about 30,000 orders in our manual process. That manual process was all the orders come into a queue. They have to sort some way to try to prioritize which orders need to go out the door first, and they actually print the paper copy. Paper sometimes gets lost, so then we'd have orders that we'd have to reprint anyway. They'd have to manually filter these orders to decide. Then the associate would actually have to choose which box size to put it in. So our world today has been it's efficient, but very painful, slow. We use a lot of labor. So this new system, we're thrilled about it. And because of our channel, and we literally will have thousands and thousands of our market partners that will come and tour. So this is kind of a crown jewel for us. So we'll have the spit-shined floors. It's all going to be clean, new. So we're really excited to have this crown jewel opened up here in this next month. These are some of our major results that we're seeing. First of all, the inventory consolidation. So in the old building, we had about 4,300 single select racks, narrow aisles. Again, it was good for storage density, but not so good on the labor. So we put in the high density, as Michael said, in the new building that's about 160,000 square feet. Had we used single select in that building, we would only be able to put in about 5,000 racking positions. So we get about 4,000 plus additional racking positions or pallet positions with the consolidation and the ABC analysis that they did to help us do the 6 deep drive-in, 3 to 4 pushback on the pallets as well. So major inventory consolidation that will help us. Improved end-to-end product management. So as I was talking about on the order side, so the majority of our business really is fulfillment, e-commerce, right? We'll be sending out tens of thousands, 10,000, 15,000 every single day. But we also do bulk pallets that we'll ship to replenish to our international markets. But that's usually on a weekly basis, and on some of the countries overseas, we'll do containers on a monthly basis or something like that. So day to day, we're really pushing out orders. So the improved product life cycle from consumer, as soon as they pay for that order, to getting it out the door will be greatly enhanced, not only on productivity, but also quality. Today, we have a lot of independent inspector auditors that have to go and inspect many, many orders on the pick lines and pull ones off that were picked incorrectly. This new system, we are anticipating we'll be able to pick at a 99.8% or higher with the pick-to-light system. So we'll have fewer returns, greater success for our customers with a lot less labor. So to give you a picture of also on this improved product management, today's system, again, everything's pretty much manual. Well, we have the manual pickers, we have the manual pack-out operators that double-check the order, repack it, put TT paper in it, then put it back on a conveyor system to be pushed to the shipping stations. The shipping stations today are manual, so each box has a license plate on it, but a person actually scans each thing on a scale. They scan also the cubic size for that package then we do a shop rate to find out what is the best economical shipment for that package. Then it goes on to the pallet and on and out the door. So now this new system, we're going to be pretty much hands-free right from the cloud to the combi machine. It will kick out an order already cubed and sized properly. So we're not shipping air. That costs a lot of money, as we all know. So it'll be properly sized, and we'll go right to a picker. Picker will pick the item, put it on the takeaway, go up to basically just a void fill station now, where we had today we'll have maybe 20 plus packers. In this new system, we may have 3 packers just to do the void fill, and then to the automated conveyor system. Print and apply. We also added a print and apply system for hazmat, as we mentioned earlier. We do aerosols, right? So those have to be shipped in a special way to be able to get through the shipping, FedEx, UPS regulations, OSHA, et cetera. So at the very end of the last print and apply on the mezzanine, we'll actually read the barcode, and if it knows that there is an aerosol in this, it will also do a print and apply on that. So again, all hands-free, all automated and controlled. So huge improvements on the product management side. Space utilization, as I mentioned, massive. So we basically have what we call long-term storage. From there, it flows to our case picking area. Our case picking area now is used for 3 primary purposes. It's closest to our fulfillment, so you'll do case to each fulfillment, then to the mezzanine for kitting, and or case picking for outbound shipments. So it's just all centralized. It's all utilized very efficiently for each movement. Obviously, a great workforce performance. So just this last week, as we're getting ready to test this week, and that's going on now, we've had several of our employees that have been doing the picking the old way today, that we're still doing it by looking at a form and so forth, to have them come over. So we had, I think, about 10 people come over just to get their feet wet on this new system. We put them through a couple of tests, and one of our key lieutenants, who is over this project and leading it, told me that same day later. I asked him, well, how did it go with the employees? He says they were all shocked, happy shocked, but then one in particular was a little downtrodden. He says, well, what's going on? And this employee said, well, I don't think you're going to need nearly as many people. Right or wrong, you know, we've been telling them for a while, big changes are coming. We're going to do everything we can to obviously keep people, but it's very apparent that this system is a lot more efficient and fast, and it will obviously take a lot less people to do what we need to get done. And then on the receiving side, you can see here that we've obviously going to minimize things come in. We are still working on the automated shipping notification from our key manufacturer. That will be added on, so it's basically a very simple scan, double check the pallets being received to handling units being put onto each pallet and put away. It's very efficient. It's all now system directed, whereas today it's pretty much human directed where they want to put it. So this is huge savings in all of the material handling as well. And then on the shipping side, that'll be huge, just because we don't need nearly as many people. What are some of the lessons learned over the last couple of years? First one, when we got this just before COVID kicked in, you know, the lead times on your material handling equipment were relatively short. As maybe many of you have found out if you're doing new projects, the lead times now on getting equipment is much longer than it used to be, so you have to be very patient and come up with temporary solutions like we did on floor stacking, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom warehouse for a while. But definitely the lead times have been a challenge. For us, as Michael mentioned, permits have been really slow for us in the Miami-Dade, Miami area, which has been, you know, added time onto our project, which was difficult, disappointing, frustrating, but it's life. We're getting through that. We've made progress, and we're getting close to going live now. We did have one shipment that was not complete, so with the lead times, so our cage that we put in just recently got put in and just finished up just within the last couple of weeks, because we didn't have the right equipment and completed on that order. So when we discovered that, we had to put in another PO, and obviously with the long lead times, it took another 6 months to get some of that material to finish that off. And then another thing that we're actually dealing with it fine now, just it's a training issue, but if you do drive-in racking, depending on how you set it up, there can be some sharp protruding corners as you drive in that you have to be careful with employees as you drive past that. So some things that we learned, that we believe there's some new racking, drive-in racking, that is actually blunted on the edges, so it's not hazard. Ours are pretty sharp V-cuts of REL, so we're looking at trying to put something on those to prevent the safety hazard that's there currently. These are some of the top lessons learned. Obviously, at the end of the day, this is all about people. We all know that when you're doing projects, it's about change management and getting people involved early, getting them trained and put on a training program so they can cut over and use this system efficiently. We've just also installed a training system called Learn Upon to help us with this transition. So all of our classroom training will be on Learn Upon. We can use PowerPoints, we can use video. It is a testing software too, so we'll provide our employees with tests, so they have to test out successfully in the classroom training. Following that, they'll go to on-the-job training. Once they qualify on the job with their supervisor, then they're actually certified, and then they can go on to the workforce and begin to do that job where they've been trained for. So overall, if we did it all over again, these are some things that we would adjust or be aware of. But overall, we're thrilled about where we're at and super excited to get this thing live and begin to see the payback. So as far as payback, so again, 20 months was the ROI, which is very, very good. Most of that is coming back from labor savings. These are some of the things that we're trying to do in 2022. So the first thing is finish up the Doral headquarter automation that we just mentioned to you. And then these are some of the other things that we'll be doing, global system improvements, primarily with tying into 3PLs. We use several 3PLs in our international business. So we're looking at creating APIs directly into those 3PLs. So anytime they do a goods receipt, it actually ties right back to our SAP system, so we know in instant time that our SAP system is correct for all of our global planners who are doing the forecasting, consolidated purchasing on and for and on behalf of all of our international markets. Personal development is one of our key things. I just mentioned that on Learn Upon. Something for us as we continue to expand globally and with this world we live in that's somewhat in commotion. We're looking, as we try to build a multi-billion-dollar company, that we can't be so dependent on single source. We leverage China a lot today for especially packaging materials, primary, secondary. So we are working on now a China plus one strategy so we can bring contingency plans into, say, North America, where we have a lot of our business, to protect our supply chain. And then just overall warehousing cost savings. When we're working with our vendors to try to cut costs as much as we can on new purchase orders and continue to shave off a little money here and there on packaging supplies. We just recently were certified ISO certification last year. So with this new building, we have plans to get ISO certified in the new building in August of this year. And eventually we plan to go make Dallas our US operations hub. So what we built here, we know it wasn't enough space, so we changed the scope that Miami is really our international hub. And then Dallas will become our U.S. market operations hub, which is more central to the country for distribution. And then we'll be the hot backup if a hurricane or something like that wants to blow through South Florida. So those are some of the things that we're working on. This is the core project team members here at the facility just recently. So it takes a lot of smart people. As one of the speakers yesterday said in the room, hey, this is all about getting smarter people together than yourself, and that's certainly the case here. Michael, Conveyor Solutions, bright, talented, skilled, and experienced people have been able to come and share with us their knowledge and their experience to help us make the best choice. And we certainly are proud of where we're at and where we're going, and we'll continue to leverage them through the years to come to help us make good strategic decisions regarding our growth plan. And this is our information, should you need to contact us or email us or whatever. We're now going to open up the floor to see if you have any specific questions or comments you'd like to make over the next 10 minutes. Yes?
I'm interested, you mentioned that long-term goal of moving to that Dallas facility and shifting US there and international Miami. How did you balance the long-term plan to utilize those facilities versus the short-term plan that Miami had to handle all of that?
Very good question. So as part of, sorry. So basically, what did we do in the short term, since we know we didn't have the Dallas, with knowing we didn't have enough space in Miami, and what is the plan going forward? So really, in the short term, what we did, because we knew we were short of space, plus the ability to run the capacity with the growth, we actually went and opened up a third-party facility in Salt Lake City during this. So when we continued to grow and we didn't have the capacity, we started to use a third party for that. That third party would also be our business continuity planning, should something happen to us right now that we can shift all of our business to Salt Lake City. Obviously, it's shipping back across the country, but some package a couple days later is better than no package at all. So ultimately, Dallas in the long term will be the U.S. operations hub, and the international will be here, because as we grow global and we're eventually in, say, 20, 25 markets, Miami's actually good for us because that's where we do most of our manufacturing. So the manufacturing sends it to our distribution center there, and then we'll put it on the water, east or west, to get to our final destination from that standpoint. So that's how we did it. And then we also had to have a temporary storage. We used Renus. They had a great brand new facility next to the International Airport in Miami, and they gave us a great deal. And we've been storing thousands of pallets in their facility, which is pretty close to our main hub. And when we just transfer back and forth on a 18-wheeler.
I'll add one thing. I don't know if you want to turn that mic on, or we got it, or you want me to use that one? Here. So the only other thing I would add, this one now? Which one? All right. So the only other thing I would add is Matt is being very humble. They were working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, when we made that small, short-term accumulation for his building, he was probably 18 hours a day, 5 days a week. And, like, there was nothing left to give. Our back was against the wall. So we had to do something. The outside storage was easy, but the third party in Salt Lake took off a burden. And even right now, like, until this new building is live and going, right after this holiday season, he was 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and your employees just don't want to work that much, right? And it was crushing them. So I think getting, a facility up in Dallas, Salt Lake, and Miami to spread it and get to normal, 16-hour days, 5 days a week, and that if you need to go to that, right, that sixth or seventh day, it's there, right? He had no additional capacity. They were 20 to 30,000 orders a day behind all of November and early December. So
Correct.
it was tough.
Painful.
Yeah. Good question. Any other questions out there?
Maybe one question. So what was the tipping point in the discussion to go to automation? I mean, you could have just continued, finding footprint, finding space. I'm sure that's never an easy journey to talk about that.
So the question was, what was the tipping point for us to decide to go more automation versus stay manual? For me, it was the money. It was very easy. After we did the analysis of our process and created the baseline and showed what the automation would do, it was a no-brainer. I had known from my business before, we had picked a light in other companies I'd worked for as well. I knew that was the way we need to go anyway, just intuitively. But yeah, the numbers spelled it out very clearly, and our board is very tied to numbers. So that's what really sold the deal, were the numbers around what it meant in the way of reducing labor to become more efficient and higher quality product to our consumers as far as the pick quality and so forth. So that was, I would say, the turning point to say, hey, we're getting out of this manual basis and looking for more automation. We'll continue to look for automation, as we've all heard in this conference, right? One of the great challenges today is finding the proper workforce, or workforce at all. Please, come help me. So we'll continue to look to be on, I don't want to say bleeding edge, but probably at least the leading edge of technology, right, to offset and to bring in mechanical labor, if you will, to make us controlled and be able to get through our shifting economy of people wanting to have more of a balanced life, and less people want to work in a manual labor field. They'd much rather push buttons on a phone. So we'll let them push buttons on a phone attached to a robot. That's what we're looking at. Any other questions?
Well, we want to thank you guys for investing the time with us. Let's give a round of hat to Matt. Matt will be upstairs in the Alpine Technology Center right before lunch if you guys want to have more of a one-on-one conversation. Thank you guys all. Enjoy the rest of the work conference.
Thank you.